welcome everybody. This is the very first episode of What Are You Going to Do About It? I'm so excited to introduce you all to Niki Watson. Niki is an accomplished professional. She's a college graduate, and she also started a nonprofit organization that I've had the pleasure of being a part of. So I just wanted to introduce you guys to her and kind of let her share what are you going to do about it. But before we do that, I want to explain very quickly again why I decided to start this web series. So often in this world of social media, we often see people posting like all of their successes and, they make it look so easy. But very rarely do we get to hear the struggle part of it, what it took to get that person to that place, like what was their breaking point. And so I just wanted to invite in some of my friends and colleagues and neighbors and so forth and so on to kind of tell their stories about the moments in their life where they discovered, okay, I have a problem here. Okay, what am I going to do about this problem? Like, how do I attack it and all that kind of good stuff? So my first guest is Niki.
Hey.
Welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Anita, for having me.
Of course. You guys bear with us. This is my very first episode. I'm used to working with like a crowd and cameras and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not used to like doing all the technical work myself. I'm quite a novice when it comes to things like this. So bear with me. So again, we have these three questions. What was the problem? How did you identify it? And what did you do about it? So without further ado, Niki, I want to turn it over to you. I guess first, just give us a rundown of what the problem was.
Like I said, Lenny, thank you for having me on your platform. Thank you for thinking about me in this web series. And, we all have problems out there. And one of the problems that I did is starting my nonprofit, right? So my nonprofit is called Future Successors. And basically, I came across this problem when I lived in Washington, D.C. I was in Washington, D.C., and I was working with the government, and I saw like the good and the bad and the ugly of Black people, how they were living. So I saw the polished Black people, they were living nice. I saw the people that's just getting by. I saw the people that weren't getting by. And it was crazy. It was like, dang, they all live in the same area, but they're just not talking to each other. They're not communicating with each other. So, and when I'm in corporate America, I was with the government, and then I got another job working in corporate America for an aerospace company. And at an aerospace company, they're dealing with learning about the aviation and flying airplanes and all that. And it's not a lot of people that look like me there. So that was a problem. It's like, why aren't we in these places that we can make a lot of money and come up from poverty? And that was that problem I saw. So I was like, all right. Frederick Douglass had a quote. He said, it's easier to raise stronger children than to repair broken men. And that's so true. So I was like, all right, so we got to start when we're young. Because when I'm from Augusta, Georgia, I really didn't see a lot of polished Black people. Like, you had people had their last names, like, let's say the Jones or the Johnsons, they carry down their legacies. But it wasn't a lot of us. Right. So I was like, all right, in order to get this going, you got to expose kids to see where they can go, where they can be, because the only thing they do, they look at themselves on TV and they don't know how far they can go. And I always tell them, like, I'm in corporate America. I'm talking to directors, executives, military personnel, because the aerospace company, they deal a lot with the military planes. So I'm talking to them, and I'm in the boardroom, and I'm not seeing a lot of us. And I'm like, gosh, how can I show these kids that they can be there? So that's let
me interrupt you for just a second. I think we both can relate to being the only people in the room that look like us. How did that affect you?
Oh, you want to go deep? You don't. How did it affect me? It affected me by it was just heartbroken. It was heartbroken because it's like I can't have. It's like that song what Snoop Dogg said, it's no fun if my homies can't have none. It's like, where are my people at? Like, I want to level up, and I want people to level up with me. I don't want to level up by myself. So it was, like I said, it was heartbreaking. So that's how I felt when I was there. So it's not fun to have your fruits of your labor, and being all around, traveling the world. Because I was traveling a long time ago before it became a thing. And I don't have people with me because people like, I don't have money, I don't do this, I don't do that. I'm like, y'all need to get in these spaces that can provide you some stability. And that's it. Just, I tell my students, I was like, yeah, let's just think about how Obama probably felt when he was sitting down at the desk. Like, he probably had some black people there, but he didn't have majority of his black people there. And I was like, how do you think that feel when we're not there, but when we go and visit our family in prison, or when we go down to social service, it's drones and number of us there. But it's like, no, I don't want y'all in this space. I want y'all in the other space. So yeah, so that's what made me. I didn't like the feeling. To get back to your point.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more about access, and then also knowledge. Just not knowing about these spaces that we can exist in.
Yeah. I had a conversation with my friend the other day, and it was like, those spaces like, oh, we invite you to these places. Y'all can come to the places like, but you didn't give me the invite. I was like, how can I come? I didn't know it exists. You didn't tell me about it. Oh, we always been welcome. Like, okay, well, you didn't tell me. But that's what I've been doing. So I saw a problem. I saw that we need to be in these places. And I went by Frederick Douglass quote, and I just started instilling in the kids that they can dream so big that their eyes can see. And I go by our 4 pillars, which is communication, respect, explore, and believe. So I have the kids ingrained with those pillars. So I like, this would help you out being successful, because all these CEOs, they groom their next successors. That's how I came up with Future Successors. It's like, we groom them. They groom them when they come in the door. It's like, oh, I know who's going to succeed me. Right. But do we do that in the Black community? Like, do I need to start grooming who's going to succeed me at the next level? So that's where Future Successor was born, because I saw a problem and we needed to be in those spaces. Okay.
So just to, I guess, kind of dig kind of deeper.
Let's go.
Do you think that we are in those spaces? You and I both work in the corporate world. But what I have run into sometimes, some people that look like us, they feel like those positions are limited and far and few between, and we don't get those opportunities. And so sometimes they don't want to share, or they don't want to reach back. And again, that's some people, definitely not all by any stretch of the imagination. But throughout your journey in this nonprofit, have you experienced that, or have people been really supportive and, kind of rallied behind you and kind of supported what you've been trying to do?
You're always going to have those challenges. People are going to say, yes, we want to help, but do they really help? And you just got to keep going. It's those ebbs and flows. And you know that if God put this vision in my mind, it will come. It will come. So some paths I cross is not a good path, and I just keep going and keep flowing with the next one. So I just keep going. That's all I keep doing, because you do have challenges. And sometimes it's crazy, because it'll be like you say, people that is not a lot of us in these. We're in the places, but we're not in management. We're not in upper management. Because when you look at the statistics, it's less than 20% of us in those workforce. So and then when you go up some more, then it just keeps going down and down and down. And one reason how it's that way, because it's not a lot of us, like kids that comes from a low income, for them to graduate college, it's like at a 20% rate. Right. So you're not going to get in those spaces if you don't have a degree already. And we all know that college is not for everybody, but it can help you. It can be a tool to get you in those spaces. And that's what we're trying to get them. But if we are, go ahead.
What I appreciate, though, is that you try very hard to get these kids exposed to different different types of organizations. Like there might be tech involved, or like you said, aerospace, or whatever the case may be. Retail, I know that you work with some organizations like that as well. So I think it's important what you're doing. It's great work because you're introducing these kids to things that, spaces that they never even imagined. And like to your point, college isn't for everybody, but you know, they may be introduced to, okay, if I want to work in tech, I don't have to go to a 4-year school. I can go get a technical certificate or license or something like that. But again, it's just planting those seeds that they didn't know about or knew that they existed.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. One other thing, I know when we've talked in the past, you stated that you pretty much financed this all by yourself.
Yeah, and I still do.
Wow.
Yeah, I still do. I get grants here and there. I get people corporate sponsorship here and there, but it's still coming out of Niki Watson pockets from stuff that I have, like savings here and there, because at the end of it, it was God vision that he brought on me when I lived in Washington, D.C. Actually, I'm in Atlanta now, and I lived in New York. So you know how, like, we always have something, we always have that next idea, we want to change it, but this idea just kept coming back, and that's God. That it was like, all right, God, I hear you. Let me go. Let me go and do it. So that's when the challenge came, because I remember when I actually put in the paperwork, I was mad at my boss at the time at work. I was like, I'm just going to, God been on my head. And so I just write out the paperwork, put it in, submit it, and it just kept flowing, and then things just kept happening. And I just say, I just trust God and keep walking in his favor.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. That's one of the reasons why I started this. Again, it was just one of those things. I'm used to being out volunteering in the community. And of course, with Rona out right now, like we can't go out and move like we used to, but I felt like I had to do something. And this just kept coming back to me. And, you know, I was kind of low, and I was like, God, I don't know what to do. And I felt myself getting stuck. But then it was just this voice that said, okay, I get it. You're sad. You're down. You feel kind of stuck. But what are you going to do about it? What's the next step? You can't get stuck. So I just appreciate the fact that you listen to the voice. And I also think it's interesting that you said you submitted the paperwork out of anger. It kind of, for those of us who are Christians, I realize that everybody is not, but it kind of reminds me of that story in the Bible. Was it Moses, I believe, when he was leading the children out of the wilderness, and God told him to speak to the rock. And instead of him speaking to the rock, he struck the rock, and then water, it kind of flowed out for everybody. I guess it's just, you know, I use that story because it's like a metaphor for life, whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever. If you move, things will happen. If it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen, no matter what mistakes you make, or even if it's birthed out of anger or frustration, whatever's supposed to happen will happen. So I'm glad that you submitted that paperwork. I'm glad you did something about it. Well, why don't you tell everybody how to follow you and, you know, how to donate to your organization. And along with that, people like to know where their money is going. So if you can give us some examples of some of the things that you've funded and some of the things that you've exposed these young people to.
So you can follow me. Instagram is Future_Successor. That's spelled FUTURE_SUCCESSORS. And you can email me at nwatson@futuresuccessors.org. And where we donate. So basically, we take our kids on annual college tours. This past summer, we took 13 inner city youth to Harvard. They got to tour Boston. That was the first time on a plane, first time riding public transportation, exposing them to, you know, the way of life. And we also took a couple kids on fall break to Duke as well. So, and over the course of time since we've been in incorporation, we have had over $30,000 in college scholarship funds. Mm-hmm. So what we do, we have a middle school after school program called Business Minds. And with Business Minds, that's where the kids come, they're introduced to the program. And once they get out of the program after their high school year, they come back and they're tutoring the kids that are in the middle school. And so that money will go to their college scholarship and their tutoring stipend. So it's all about showing the kids to give back and help out the people that are coming in behind them. So that's where a majority of our funds go to, is our college tours and our college scholarships, and as well as putting on the fundraisers and productions to having fun with the kids. And where we've been, we've taken kids to all over. We actually had an opportunity. We took them to Facebook before COVID hit. We took them to Lockheed Martin. They got to see how planes were built. We took them to like a marketing agency that does his name Jackson and Spalding. They do a lot of stuff for Chick-fil-A. Actually, we took them to Chick-fil-A as well. We took them to Bright House. Bright House do a lot of marketing here in Atlanta, Georgia. So we just showing them other things, because what I tell the kids, I was like, okay, we all love basketball, right? But are we thinking about who designed the basketball? Yep. Like, we want, because we can't all be on the court, but can we be the person that designed the uniform? Can we be the person that designs the basketball? Because we're not in those spaces. Oh, can we be the person that designs the stadium? You know, it's like, it's so many places you guys can be in for something that you really love. And I always tell them, like, think about those Jordans you have on. They have to design those. Not only do they got to design, they got to know where to put them at and sell them. I was like, do you think they sending the same amount of Jordans to Atlanta that they sending in North Dakota? No, that's not happening. They have to have people do research. So it's all about exposing them to be beyond what they see on TV. That's why the name of the program, the after school program, is called Business Minds, to have them have a business mind.
That's awesome. I think it's interesting that you took them to Chick-fil-A, because again, these kids, when they think Chick-fil-A, they think that they're going to be working behind a cash wrap, or flipping chicken and fries and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to your point, there is a whole bunch of people working behind the scenes, whether it's supply chain or marketing, whatever the case may be. You have all these people working behind the scenes to make sure that chicken sandwich gets
My pleasure.
Right. That's so cool. Well, Niki, we're going to wrap up. Is there anything else you want to leave our audience with today?
Just one thing that I tell my kids, what we're trying to do is change their minds and change the narrative out there in the world with corporate America and in the business world. So just keep pounding away. And when you hear that voice, it keeps coming back. That's God talking to you. So get out there and do what you need to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you for being on my very first episode.
Thank you for having me.
I couldn't think of a better person to kick it off. So thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. I am humbled and honored that you would choose to speak about your organization here. Thank you guys for watching. Again, this platform is just a way to kind of help inspire people, help you think outside of the box, because I know that we're all going through it and there are times when we all get stuck. So hopefully by hearing someone else's story, it can help you get unstuck and you can start doing something about your situation. We don't want to just talk about it. We want to be about it. We want to do something about it. So again, thank you all for joining. Thank you, Niki, again.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.